Okay. Hey, everybody. So, before we get started on tonight's topic, I'm looking to get rid of. Here we go. Hold on. We're gone. There we go. So the tonight's topic is not something that I've heard about when it comes to discussions on burnout. And I've held a lot of discussions on burnout. I've been part of panels. We've discussed it, I don't know how many times on the Traveling Groomers podcast. We've discussed it here before. But there was a post that was circling around on Facebook today, and it talked about moral injury as a cause of burnout for pet care professionals, and not just groomers, vet tech, shelters. The article was written as part of a dissertation for college. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, I've actually tracked down the person who wrote it, and I'm going to see if I can get her to come up onto Traveling Groomers podcast for a more in-depth discussion. All right. But but I see it. All right. I am going to let actually Michelle take the lead because I'm going over to Facebook because yesterday when we did Book Club Live, the one group it was supposed to go into, it didn't. So I got to go back and
it didn't?
check. It didn't. It went everywhere else, but actually Book Club. Okay. So, Michelle,
Gotcha.
Take it off while I go check Facebook.
Okay. So we're talking about morality in the workplace of where we generally talk mostly to groomers, but it is like Mary said, it is overarching the whole animal care field. When you are forced or you are in a situation where things are happening around you that you don't believe in, and it could be anything. For me, it would be trussing a dog up and having it struggle and then just hurrying up and getting nails done. I believe that there are other ways of doing it. That's my opinion. I'm not saying you are wrong or right. You all have your own morality that you have to deal with. But over a period of time, if you have to watch this or be near it, something like that compounded with all the other stressors in your workplace, that can cause burnout. And I think it was interesting that the article touched upon how you feel about what's being done around you. And I think that ties into a lot of what the industry is facing nowadays. A lot of people are coming over to fear-free or a different way of approaching animals, behavioral issues that are going to be approached in a different manner. Don't Grab the Beard by Ashley Hanvey. All these people are, I think, resonantly coming together and seeing that there is a place in the grooming industry that really needs help. We can no longer sustain ourselves on just a pretty trim or a correct standard. It has to be more than that because every dog is an individual. And if they're not given their love and their foundation and their calm that they need, it just makes us reach for things that perhaps aren't as ethical as it could be. We forget that they're a sentient animal. And I think that seeing, and I think we've discussed this before, seeing as how only 10% to 1%, I've talked to other show groomers, so 1% make it to the show. All the rest are pets. And their owners don't really care if they're perfect. They should be perfect for that dog. So however many dogs there are, that's however many breed standards basically there are. Make that dog cute for that dog. Don't necessarily say, well, this bone and this bone and this proportion. Now, there's some that are better than others at doing this, but if you fill your main objective, making the client happy, making the dog feel safe and unharmed and happy and clean and healthy, that's really our objective overall. And I think as much as dogs become more and more of the family, sleeping in the bed and being treated very nicely in the home, as opposed to the 1950s where we kind of just made a doghouse and put them out back. So, I mean, it's really grown from the idea of, oh, it's just a pet, it's just a dog. They're part of our pack, they're part of our family. And I think things are changing, and we're going to have to change the way we approach grooming. I think it's going to be a huge change, but I think it's gradually happening whether we want it to or not.
Right. So
I would like. Oh,
all right.
go ahead.
So the article went into not not, I mean, groomers are like a little side part of it, veterinarians, shelter
Mhm.
workers, but it's the same thing. People
Mhm.
forced to either watch or participate in something they feel is wrong.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, it's why vets have the highest suicide rate of any industry that is out there. So I think this, so that's more, suicide is way more than just burnout. That's something that
Mhm.
just,
That's an extreme form of burnout.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little on the extreme side. I mean, I consider myself fortunate. Now, yes, it was early 2000s, okay? When I was working corporate, I didn't have an older groomer saying this is how we do things. All right. So a lot of some of those early bad habits I didn't have. Not to say that I didn't have bad habits. I had plenty of them. Okay. But there was no real, I love the industry. I mean, you talked about Ashley. I love the fact that there are more and more groomers who are saying, you know what, I don't care. I want to be an educator, but I don't want to teach like breed trims. I want to teach behavior. I am so glad that that is really coming to our forefront.
Mhm.
Denise.
So I want to touch base on a few things actually. I think where I saw the shift, and we've all been in the industry for a long time, I noticed, I mean, Mary, how long have you been in the industry?
Since 1999.
Okay. So, right. And corporate didn't exist or it just started. So when I started grooming in 97 after I graduated, and corporate didn't exist around here.
Yeah.
And it didn't start to exist until like probably about 2005, 2006 when we first got our first PetSmart. And there was the boom, right? There was the grooming boom. When I was in school, I didn't even know grooming was a thing. I learned at the Career Center, and it was an animal care program, and that's where I learned grooming. Um, but when corporate, for better or worse, got involved and said that now pets are products, right? It's a product. And
Mhm.
this is what we're going to do. And you're going to belt out 8 dogs and still hold those practices to date.
Mhm.
I do know in our area, as much as our PetSmart, I should say corporate, still get groomers, the turnaround is pretty high, where it used to be a little bit longer. But when these bigger facilities who are able to turn out groomers left and right don't hold a higher standard, that's now I think what you're starting to see is the upheaval of this isn't the way it's supposed to be, this is the way it was before, and we cared about the dogs instead of making it a product that we just turned out.
Yeah.
And we talk about vet clinic side. So when I was at the Career Center, I was 11th, 12th grade. And I'll never forget, we could have work release. And I worked at vet clinics when I was 16, 17 as a vet assistant. And my friend actually worked at a different vet. And they're still in practice today, but they did emergency calls, and there was an emergency call and this is high school. Remember, this is when we are in high school. She is a high school student. There was a call that there was an emergency with a Rottweiler puppy. And she showed up. The doctor said, I need you to come in. And it was an after hours call that the owner was demanding that this dog be euthanized because it chewed its shoe. And he couldn't handle it. And the doctor did that. And she was the helper. So I know like grooming, yeah, so I know we're all groomers, but like really correlating like how this can fall, and I just vividly remember that story, and gosh only knows how that's been in her world. I remember this, however, 30 years later, that this was something that happened to her. The vet that I worked at was pretty questionable in practices as well, and later on also got shut down due to the veterinary board. So very, very prevalent in the vet industry. But I think what you're seeing, like I said, I love seeing everyone wanting to change. I love seeing Sasha Reese on I love his reels and his videos, because I just think what it is turning into the people who've been in the industry pre corporate or pre the training that is just making it mechanical, that I think we're all sick of it. Like, and it's really hard to change. I'm going to say I have groomers from corporate that it is so hard to change the mindset, and they're very caring, but they are not taught and trained how to work with the animal. It is belt them out. And
Mhm.
to change that is so difficult. It's changing years of, but I mean, trauma and bad behavior is
Mhm.
really what a lot of that
It's
is.
true. It's true.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will say so I worked Petco. I was in the second class for groomers for Petco. It was taught by Terry Tomlinson. Okay. And she did not last long there either. Okay. It wasn't the just churn them out. She was really teaching um, how to groom a pet, how to groom a dog. Okay. So I don't know what happened after that. All right. And yes, I did have two separate store managers. One was great. Okay. The other one was, you don't know how to do it? Well, here's a book. Do it and do it now. Didn't care that there was a problem with the behavior of the pets. It was get it done. And Mimi, all right, she says that post gave her the words to why she fake thrived at corporate. Okay. She would do good for a couple of months and then absolutely crash out and need a huge break. All right. So when you're in that position, and we're seeing this, I mean, how many animal abuse claims has really hit the news lately? And there were groomers there who saw what was going on, felt they couldn't do anything because they needed the job. All right. Until, well, hell broke loose on it, until a pet died. Right. So I think it's a problem, and like I said, I'm glad that there's more education, and I love Sasha, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
of this information coming out. So what can you do? All right, Denise, you're a multiple shop owner. Okay, how do you
Mm-hmm.
handle this in your shop?
So as far as like teaching, like, am I like bringing up standards?
Yeah.
Or which part? Bringing up standards is very difficult. What I'm finding is teaching the generation of groomers that were taught the way that they've been, like, that it's just a product, like this is just, it's churning out another dog, another haircut. It's actually really trialing for me, and trivial to really teach people, like, because they have this skill and they don't understand that that skill doesn't mean anything without the empathy and the work behind it, the
Yeah.
mental side of it. But because they can turn out a beautiful groom, they don't feel that that side is important. So honestly, if anyone's on here that can give me pointers to make, like, to be able to convey that, I'm mom when it comes to my facility, so I can say it till I'm blue in the face. I have had Melissa Jepson does a really good job. I've had her come out, and I've asked the girls, I'm like, oh, so what did you get from Melissa's? And they're like, oh, to work with the dogs and not against them. I'm like, I say this to you like every day, but because it came from someone else, that was the main takeaway. So I mean, there isn't a level of importance in the mentality of when we can turn out a beautiful groom.
Maybe somehow you can work it into, not just you, but I mean overall. We can work it into the
Yeah.
employee handbook and have training. Like when you're onboarding, have it be a part of training.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we expect. Have somebody groom a dog on video or whatever. So you can say, this is the example. See how this dog's trying to act up right here, and see how she treats it or he treats it. This is what we expect. Slow down, regroup, whatever. I think that's probably going to have to be the norm because they don't expect it. No one's teaching it in the salon. So it has to be an actual point of things that we're teaching.
Well, yeah, and Michelle, you make a really good point. Yes, there are a lot of trade shows, and yes, they are really coming on board with behavior classes. But the bottom line is, how many people actually go to a trade show to take these classes?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the ones I've done are well people.
No, the classes might be well
So the
attended.
percentage. Well,
Go
yeah.
ahead,
So
Denise.
here's the I've done the breakdown just randomly when I thought about this. I took Hershey. Hershey is the largest show. It yields anywhere between 5 and 6,000 attendees.
Mhm.
My classes, and yes, I teach business, so they're never full, but my class is 100. My largest class was 120, which is a really
Mhm.
good sized class. But if
Mhm.
you look at that 120 versus the 5,000 to 6,000, on top of the more groomers and people I run into that don't even know shows exist, that
Right.
is such a teeny, teeny, tiny percentage of hitting an audience. Wonderful for captive audiences, but like to have them in that room and all the things and have really well attended. But even if you just take the numbers and the percentages of Hershey, that's tiny. Even a full class at 2 or 300, and that's out of 5 to 6,000 attendees.
Yeah.
So,
It needs to be trained. It needs to be a part of
Mhm.
whoever is training up. So I train it up, right? My hardest
Mhm.
ones are the ones to break who come in. And obviously we have the onboarding and we have in there our expectations in our employee manual. And we
Mhm.
have in there what we define that as. But when it comes to like the schools or the corporates not on board and teaching behavioral, that's where I think a lot of the problem lies, is that initial training up.
Well, I think that is one problem area, truthfully. And I think as many salons as there are and people who care about that should not only put it in their training, but be aware that the more of us that embrace this new psychology or philosophy, if you will, um, the more it will spread. The more we expect it as owners and colleagues, I think the more it's going to spread and they're going to understand this is part of it. This isn't something, oh, yeah, I took a fear free class, or, oh, yeah, I worked with this trainer. It's going to be their actual protocols for doing that. And if that means you get one less dog, then that's what it means. Pricing these, it's a huge change in the industry. I'm not even going to lie. It's huge. It's a major factor of how we are going to proceed in the future. So it's not just about, okay, use this restraint or use this technique. It is a huge push in the direction of being more centered within yourself, almost a meditation, being aware that we are all connected. And it sounds less woo woo now than it did when Mary and I first started, I'm sure. But the more that it comes into the collective consciousness, basically, it's going to spread. But it has to be done, and it has to be done as soon as possible.
And I see a lot of people putting fear free, and mine are. I have a fear free scale everywhere in both of my salons. That's how I train people, especially bathers. This is what you're looking for. This is when you scale back. But what I notice, I can give as many tools as I can. But if that person who I am speaking to doesn't feel the importance
Mhm.
of that sentient being underneath their care,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what tools they are.
Mhm.
We have to change a whole, like Michelle, you were saying, this is a movement. You
Mhm.
have to change a whole mindset. This isn't about, I could give tools till I'm blue in the face, and there's still, people who they have the tools, they just don't use them because they don't feel it's important to the job because they can turn out a beautiful groom. So it is a movement. It most certainly is a huge shift.
I'm going to make a point. Mary Niskern is on. So, Mary, I want you to answer, first of all, how many employees are in your shop? And then give me the number of estimated number of groomers just in Squim. We'll wait for that. Okay. Mary takes really good care of her employees and makes sure that they're all well trained. So, Mary, give me those figures. Well, we're not going to wait. We're going to keep on talking. So as soon as she gets them, I'll make a point with them. All right. So, yeah. So for Cassandra, this really is a good point. You have to implement policies and be reprimanded for pushing past limits until they finally get it. Okay. So the word reprimanded.
I was just going to say something, Mary.
Maybe we use a different word than reprimanded.
Or a whole different technique. The whole point is to nurture people, to nurture more.
Yeah.
So instead of reprimanding somebody for pushing past the limits, if you see somebody headed toward that direction, empower your staff to go, hey, do you need help? I'm going to help you with this. We're going to do this, but we're going to do it gentle, and don't put up with that. We're all so afraid of losing a job or being reprimanded that nobody acts and then a dog dies or gets injured.
Or losing an employee, absolutely. Right? Like there's people who will put up with stuff just because they're afraid to lose an employee. And listen, I have in my younger days, not knowing how to handle employees and stuff like that, I most certainly had employees in there that I was ashamed to have in there, and I didn't know what to do with it. So when the standard is the care and behavior of the animal as an industry, that's when real change will happen. Because we can reprimand, and guess what? We can write up. And what's going to happen? They're going to get fired. And what are they going to do? They're going to go right down to the road and do the same exact thing, or open up out of their house, charging way less than anybody else. And we haven't solved any of the problems.
But number one, what did they say when you're on a plane and you're in trouble? Take care of you first, and then you can help others. So everybody that can have a salon and weave this into their standards and empower all employees, the receptionist to the bather. If somebody's having a hard time and you see it escalating, just immediately go over there. No questions asked. Hey, we're going to help you with this. And nobody gets reprimanded and everybody gets to calm down a little bit. And if somebody complains, then they get written up or whatever, because it has to be that way. I can't imagine going into a doctor's office or for a procedure and having somebody hold me down and hold my arms and stuff so I can get my teeth done or whatever procedure you're working on. I cannot imagine it. Why would we put up that? Those are someone's babies. Those are someone's best friends. How could you treat them like that and sleep at night? And how could you allow that to happen in your shop and just, I can't say anything. Why not? I've stopped my car before and taken a Shih Tzu out of a front yard where boys were kicking it across to each other. I have absolutely stopped and done that. I have been fired and quit some places where I said, she is smacking the dog with her clipper. I know she's harsh with him. I know. Nothing. Bye. I can't be there. I can't be there with that. I'm not putting up with it.
All right.
And I don't have to put up with it in a hard way. You can absolutely go over there and say, you know what? It looks like you need help. Let me help you.
All right. So Sequim, which is a small town. Okay. Yes, we have a Costco and we have a Walmart and we have a full-size supermarket, but it's a small town. So there, besides Mary's shop, there are 6 other legitimate shops. These are not the people working out of their homes, and there's no real licensing here, not in Clallam County anyway. So there's a lot more of that. So she makes sure she trains her employees. She's got total 3 employees, at least 6 other shops, and again, not counting all the other. And I'm going to do home-based in quotations, because just because you're based out of your home doesn't mean you're a bad groomer. All right, it just some home-based are not. We have a better word than home-based.
Why is that a bad word?
It's not, because there's a lot of home-based that are legitimate businesses.
Right. So there's no better word for that. You can work out of your home. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
What I'm talking about is another word for those who work out of their homes that
would be any groomer who mishandles, whether they work out of their home or a salon. I don't care where they come from. It happens in all walks, I'm sure. And we have to reduce that to 0. That we really have to make a push or an effort to reduce it.
Mimi, home-based is fine. Home-based is a business.
See what you've done?
We are real clear on that, okay? What we are talking.
So I have to say, the reason why I think home-based is brought up so easily, it is just so easy to undercharge and do the wrong things in business because yes, home chop shop. I like that. It is it's more it's just because it's the easier route for people to be able to cut corners when it comes to accountability and business
And that's fair.
is
That's
really
fair,
what that.
I mean, legitimately, isn't that in salon works as well?
Yeah.
That's in mobile grooming. That's in salon work, brick and mortar. It's in whatever walk. They're all of them have that seedy not rightness on one side. All of us that have that issue in every walk.
All of them.
All right. So, but I think having like this movement. All right. It starts with people who are already working in shops speaking up.
Yes.
So that's
And not getting reprimanded for it. They have to be empowered to do that.
Okay.
If you see something happening to a dog, you have to end it or help with it.
Okay. All right. So where was I? All right. Speaking up. Okay. And there has to be, again, this is one of the reasons why I am pro licensing. Because if we're licensed, there's going to be required education in order to keep your license.
Mhm.
Okay? So I think it is really not just speaking up, it's just that we really have to drive home the importance of
And that has to be part of that training as well. And a lot of them don't really train for that. They have maybe a fluffy training about it. Even the main three that I can think of, they touch on it, but it's not really a training. You know what I mean? Gentle handling and compassionate grooming should be just as important as getting, the angle right on a schnauzer. It should be equal. It's just that important. And that should come first. Because if you're not calm when you approach the dog and you're not first in giving that compassion to the scared animal, then you're starting in the middle. Then the haircut doesn't matter, does it? If that dog won't let you do the haircut doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can do a perfect breed trim and take it right to show. It means zero if you can't do the trim. So, what's more important? It's all important. It's all do the best trim you can and give the dog the best day that it can have and not have anybody hurt or trauma, because trauma builds on itself. It doesn't stop at just that one time and then it calms down and forgets everything. Dogs remember a lot through trauma, and we also do that too. As we grow and develop as people, we are trauma-based learners, just like dogs are. Right. Some people think gentle handling is kissing the dog. No, I don't recommend putting your face near the dog's face at all for that reason, unless you really know that client, and then be careful. Lots of patient groomers are still doing damage to dogs. I agree. We need to understand stress and the subtle signs. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So what I think we will have Melissa teach at Pacific Northwest Grooming Conference in July of next year is maybe some behavior stuff.
Mhm.
What do you say, Denise?
No, I love that. I love her difficult dog. We had a staff training with that. She allowed us to watch her videos and stuff. So no, I really love her difficult dog course and all the things that she does with that. I think it's a good thing.
Okay, so we're coming up on our half-hour discussion. So here's the thing. We're going to miss the next two live streams, the second and the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, because at the end of the month, I will be on vacation and I'm the one who controls the restream here. So on my login. And the second Tuesday in August, I'm going to be Super Zoo. So
me too.
Yeah, I will see you there. Okay, so we're going to miss. All right. As usual, if there's something you would like to see us discuss, we are always open to it. Cassandra says Melissa's difficult dog course was foundational in my career. Yeah, it's a really good program. All right. And I'm going to put Mary Niskern on the spot here, if she's still on, because she also has some good training programs, and she really ought to get out more often to some of the trade shows and whatever, and don't offer them for free, because people don't show up for free, Mary. They show up because they paid for the class. And there's no refund if they don't show up. Okie doke.
Well, maybe Mary, we can get Mary to do webinars and put them on Pet Status Relief Fund.
Okay.
And then they can be out there.
We're putting you on the spot. If you would like to do if you want to do the free thing, okay? Pet Styles Relief
And
Fund.
help us out and help out Pet Status Relief Fund.
Exactly. Mary and I will talk. So this is what happens when you show up, Mary. All right. So we'll see everybody in actually 6 weeks-ish. End of August. 4th Tuesday in August.
Yes.